Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashyatya Dishatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Shyam Sundar, Jaya Gauranika, 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 Jai Gauranika, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Harinam Sankirtan Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Anti-Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram So we were talking about Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. Today we will discuss verse number 57 onwards. I think so here we were discussing about the different qualities of a liberated person, or symptoms of a liberated person. Because this is what Arjuna asked about. स्थित प्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्य केशव स्थित धी किम प्रभाषेत किम आसीत व्रजेत किम. So this is the question Arjuna is asking, that, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak and what is his language? How does he sit and how does he walk? So these are the 4 questions Arjuna is asking, because when Arjuna heard about that a person who is in samadhi means one whose intelligence is fixed in transcendence. So he was thinking that a person who is fixed in samadhi, what should be his characteristics? What are the symptoms of a person who is fixed in transcendence? And also one reason behind why he is trying to understand, because he was thinking somebody who is in samadhi or established in buddhi yoga, he should not fight. Because every time Krishna, whatever, either through Nishkam Karma Yoga or Sakam Karma Yoga, every time Krishna is inducing Arjuna that you should fight, and Arjuna is trying to avoid fight, right? And in one of the shloka, when Krishna said, Dure nahi avaram Krishna, buddhi yoga dhananjaya. So you should not be engaged in any kind of activity which is sinful. So Arjuna, he is just thinking that a person who is fixed in transcendence, definitely he should not fight. So then he is talking about the different characteristics, asking about the characteristics of a person. And in our last session, we discussed about the philosophical aspect of these questions, why he is asking this. So Arjuna, indirectly he is asking about a person who is fixed in transcendence, what is his characteristics, and also when he said Kim Prabhashi, means about his language, means yes, characteristics, Kim Asit, Kim Brajit, these are the questions. So how does a person restrain his senses or control his senses or respond in situations? How does he respond to the provoking situations? So these are the questions, and in response to his questions, Krishna is saying, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So we discuss about this verse also, that the person is his desire for sense gratification, there is no desire for sense gratification, a person whose mind is fixed in consciousness. And in next verse, what is saying? Dukheshu anudvigna mana, sukheshu vigatispriya, vitaraga bhaya krodha, istitadhi muni urchate. And what is the next quality of a person who is fixed in transcendence? One who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So whose mind is fixed or not disturbed, controlled mind. These are the symptoms of a person whose mind is controlled. What is that? Not disturbed, even amidst the threefold miseries. What are threefold miseries? Threefold miseries. There are different kinds of miseries, sufferings, problems in life. Right? Yes, we can say this: physical, mental, like adidhavik, adibhautik, adhyatmic problems. Adhyatmic problems, the problem arises by mind and body, adhyatmic. And second category of problem is adibhautik, problems by others, other living entities. And third is adidhavik. Adidhavik means the natural calamities. So these are different kinds of problems. And in this material world, problems are there always. Birth, death, old age, disease. These are the problems. So one whose mind is controlled. So here the point is, he is never disturbed or elated when there is happiness. And if there is happiness in life, so he is not too much excited with that. Right? In both, he is equipoised. In one term, if we say equipoised in both situations, either suffering or happiness, the person is equipoised. Either not too much excited and not too much in anxiety when situations are bad. Who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So this is the quality, another quality. And Srila Prabhupada, he is writing that, he is talking about muni, istitadhi muni uchyate. Istitadhi means a muni. Muni means a person who does mental speculation. Muni, mental concoction, mental speculation. And one thing, every muni has a different opinion, different thought process. Muni, if somebody's thought process is matching to another's thought process, then he cannot be called muni. Muni means he will do some mental speculation and reach to a different conclusion. No, that muni, there are two kinds of muni. One is Isthita Dhir muni, one is ordinary muni. Ordinary muni is simply doing mental concoction, not reaching to the final conclusion, simply doing some mental concoction. That is one kind of muni, ordinary muni. But Isthita Dhir means real muni, or you say one whose mind is fixed or controlled, who has reached to the final conclusion, and that conclusion is Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. His final conclusion is that Krishna is the source of everything. Whatever mental concoction is being done, if somebody, after doing lots of research, lots of study, and reaching to this final conclusion that Krishna is the source of everything, or Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he is Isthita Dhir Muni. So anyway, this is what Prabhupada is talking about in this purport. And such person, like here mentioned, that he is not disturbed in any situation, and he is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He knows the purpose of life, and he is always focused on that purpose. So, not disturbed, no anger, no fear. These are the qualities. So, because if somebody is dedicated to Krishna consciousness, somebody is working for Krishna, either he succeed in that purpose or succeed in that process or fails, he is not worried about that. He is simply engaged in service, and that's why he is not attached with the result. And if somebody is not attached with the result, there will be no fear, there will be no anxiety, because anxiety, fear, it takes place only when we are attached with something. So attachment is proportional, means fear is proportional to the attachment to the objects. So as much attachment we have, that much we will fear to lose that, or to we will be in anxiety to maintain that. So this is and next what Krishna is saying, in the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain. So now this is the answer to the third question, how does he respond to the situation? A person whose intelligence is fixed, how will he respond to the situation? Unaffected, whether good or evil may obtain, good or bad. He is equipoised, neither praising nor despising. Firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So there is always some upheaval in the material world which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. So a Krishna conscious person is never disturbed. He is always focused. As long as one is in material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil, because this world is full of duality. So material world is a world of duality. Happiness, distress, victory, defeat, profit, loss. This is called duality, right? So this is the nature of this material world. But somebody who is in Krishna consciousness, he will not be affected by these kind of dualities, because he is focused on his service. He is focused on his goal of life, Krishna. So any of the situation, he is simply engaged in that service only. Even these circumstances externally which looks bad or not favorable, even in those situations, the devotees never get disturbed. They take it as mercy of Krishna. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good, absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in perfect transcendental position, called technically samadhi. So this is what the technical term for this is samadhi. Samadhi means not affected with the external circumstances. Whatever is happening, right, is it seems very difficult, right? It seems very difficult. Because in our case, if situation is good, everything is going fine, then we are able to focus on our spiritual practices, maybe whatever we are doing. But the moment some bad situation is there in our life, the first thing we give up, what is that? Hope. And also, especially initial stages, especially on this spiritual path, devotional path, when we have just recently started our devotional practices. So because we don't have that much faith in Krishna and this Krishna consciousness or the holy name. So not only initial stage, I'll say even sometimes people practicing for years, then also if bad situations are there in life, because we don't have faith, so we give up these activities first and we try to take shelter of so many other things. We start thinking that I need to take shelter of something else which can help me, which can save me, right? So it happens. So the point here is, but somebody who is fixed in Krishna consciousness, fully having full faith in Krishna, so they will not be disturbed in adverse situations. And there are many examples in this modern time also. In the scriptures also we see that devotees, they never get disturbed in any situation. So one story I was talking about earlier, today again we will see the name Amrish Maharaj. You remember Amrish Maharaj? And once Durvasa Muni approached him and he was observing Ekadashi fast, and that day he was just about to complete his fasting, Dwadashi day. And it is a rule that if some Brahmana is coming at home, so you have to give respect. You have to give them proper food and shelter, everything, proper welcome. So giving them food. And Durvasa Muni, he was not alone. He always travels with 10,000 other disciples. And the time he came to Amrish Maharaj, it was just the fast breaking time. Just few minutes were left. And Durvasa Muni, he came and he just desired for food. And he said, okay, I'm just coming after bath. Meanwhile, you get ready food. So we will all take food. And Amrish Maharaj, he was just thinking, what should I do now? Because guest is there. I should respect, I should honor the guest first. And now it is time to break the fast. And as per rule, as per etiquette, but first I should honor the guest. Before taking meal, this is the Vedic culture, right? So before taking meal, we should ask the host, or we should welcome the guest first, and then we should take meal. So he was just thinking, what should I do in this situation? Because there's a rule also, fast breaking rule, there's a particular time. So within that time, one has to break the fast. After that, you will not get the result of that fasting, right? So he consulted the Brahmanas, what should I do in this situation? So the Brahmanas, they told that because you have observed Nirjala is without taking water. So in this case, you simply take a few drops of water. So that way you will keep your fasting also, you will observe your fasting also, and you will not break the rule of the etiquette of honoring Brahmanas first. So he took the water, and immediately, because Durvasa Muni, he is a very mystic. He is having siddhis, lots of siddhis, power. He could sense that Amrish Maharaj, without honoring us, without feeding us first, he took food. Food means for him because he broke the fast. So that time he became very, very angry. And immediately he came to the place and he started shouting upon Amrish Maharaj, just abusing words. You are not a devotee, you are just acting. You are not, you just do show off. So this way he was criticizing, and finally with his mystic power, he just took one hair of his head and just created a monster just to kill Amrish Maharaj. A fiery demon to kill Amrish Maharaj. So much angry he was. Just because of this small, he took water or he just broke his fast without honoring first to us, to me. So he was so angry. But the Amrish Maharaj, he was a pure devotee of the Lord. And he didn't do anything. He simply, folding his hands, he started praying to the Lord. And immediately Sudarshan Chakra appeared and first of all killed that fiery demon. And immediately that Sudarshan Chakra just started chasing Durvasa Muni. And now Durvasa Muni is running with the speed of mind. Just to save himself, he is running. And he went to Brahmaloka first. See, he was running with the speed of mind, and unto the he reached to the Brahmaloka, and there he started praying, "Oh Lord Brahma, please save me, please protect me." And Lord Brahma said, "I cannot do anything, because this is something which is out of my control. And better you go to Lord Shiva. He can do something." But then he went to Kailash, and there he approached Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, again he said, "No, Lord Vishnu is my master. So only, and this Sudarshan Chakra is the weapon of Lord Vishnu. So only person who can save you, that is Lord Vishnu. Just go there." And Durvasa Muni, he went to Vaikuntha. There he met with Lord Vishnu and he prayed for. And Lord Vishnu, what he is saying? He is saying that Aham Bhakta Paradvyo. Aham Bhakta Paradvyo. I'm under the control of my devotees. I cannot do anything. Because if anybody committing any offense against me, I can excuse. But if somebody committing offense against my devotees, even I cannot help. And Amrish Maharaj is my devotee. So Durvasa Muni got to know that only Amrish Maharaj can save me right now. So he immediately went to Amrish Maharaj, and Amrish Maharaj, he bowed down. But Amrish Maharaj, such a pure soul, he was never feeling like, "Oh, see, I'm such a great personality. Even Durvasa Muni is bowing down unto me. I'm such a great personality." No, very humble devotee. These are the qualities of a pure devotee. They are always very merciful, very compassionate, tolerant, and just again, Durvasa Muni excused, forgiven. It's not a question of forgiveness, because he never took that offense as offense. This is the purity of devotee. No? Then he again respected, and he gave all the honor to Durvasa Muni. So this incident, especially that how much a devotee is controlled, his mind is so much controlled that he is never disturbed in any situation. He is fully dependent on Krishna's mercy. Either favorable situation, unfavorable situation, he sees both situations as mercy of Krishna. Right? He is fixed in his consciousness. Because everything, even means whatever is happening, that is again by the will of Krishna. So devotees know about it and they take it like that. And another very beautiful analogy which is given over there, that how to control mind or how to control senses. The example is given. Yada samharte chayam kurmo angani va sarvasha indriyani indriyatebhya tasya pragya pratishtita. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So example is given of tortoise. Do you see tortoise? What is the behavior of tortoise? Whenever the limbs is required, when it is of, tortoise draws its limbs within the shell. When it is not required, just withdraw the limbs within the shell. And if it is required, then only the limbs comes out and like that. So Prabhupada is saying, taste of a yogi, devotee or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. According to his plan. Wherever it is required, devotees or yogi, they use their senses. If it is not required, they do not use it. Senses we know about, right? Eyes, nose, tongue, So these are the senses. So where to use, how to use, a devotee must knows about it. Unnecessary speaking, unnecessary or something, something. If we are just seeing something which is not good, this kind of control must be there. Sense and sense objects. So what to see, what to eat, what to hear must be controlled. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. And this is true. In Kali Yuga, most of the people, they are controlled by their senses. Controlled by their senses. Right? Taste. Because of taste, they are ready to do anything. So this is controlled by senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. So the last question was like, how the yogi is situated means, how does he respond, restrain the senses? So this is the question. So the senses are compared to venomous serpent. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. So another example is given, a very venomous serpent. Serpent means a snake, which is very poisonous. So how to control this snake? Like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. A snake charmer, they control the snake, never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and don'ts, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. So this is the first criteria. So any of the practice, spiritual practice, yoga practice we are doing, the first criteria is to control the mind and senses. Without controlling mind and senses, we cannot advance in spiritual practices. The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. So this example, tortoise example, is for the same. When it is required, we can use the senses. When it is not required, we can withdraw the activities of the senses. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Why? How we have to use the senses? For what purpose we should use the senses? Huh? Yes. Yes. This is what the practical we have to learn it. Why? No. In our last session also we were talking why to control senses, why to control mind, and how to control. This is what how part. Engaging our senses in Krishna consciousness will help us to control the mind. There is no other way to control the mind and senses. Independent from Krishna, if we try to control the mind and senses, we will fail. Even big munis, I gave you example last time also. Example of, do you remember those two examples? Vishwamitra Muni, you heard about? He was failed. He could not control his mind. Saubri Muni, he could not control his mind. These are all mystics, big personalities. They could not control independently. They could not control their mind and senses. Just because of small flickering or small agitation, simply by the ankle bells, the sound of ankle bells of Menaka, Vishwamitra, 60 years of austerity was gone. And Saubri Muni, he was doing austerity under the water of Yamuna, river Yamuna. And just by seeing the two fish, and he was agitated by that. And he came out of his samadhi and then he went to King Mandata to marry the daughters of king, just to lead a family life. So the point over here is, if somebody is not Krishna conscious, it's very difficult to control the mind and senses.
But there, he was thinking about God, right? And then he sees, and why did God help him then? And help him God.
Yes, there are different kinds of yoga process. Yoga process, there are like a Ashtanga yoga process, Hatha, which is called Hatha yoga, Ashtanga yoga. These are the processes, and the ultimate purpose of any of the yoga processes is to know about Krishna only. But the process, one like this Bhakti yoga process, is simple process, simply taking shelter of Krishna, knowing that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, serving Him. That is the simple process. So this comparison is just to know that other processes are very difficult, though the same, that process is again meant for controlling the mind and senses and ultimately accepting that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that process is difficult process. That process was meant for a particular yuga. That was applicable in Satya Yuga because people were very pious. They were in Satoguna. But in Kali Yuga, most of the people are in mode of passion and mode of ignorance. So that process in this age of Kali Yuga is not possible, not at all. And that's why this example is given that even Vishwamitra Muni or Saubhari Muni, such kind of personalities, they were not able to control their mind and senses. So what to talk about us? First of all, that process is not applicable in this age, and we are not very much qualified like them. So many disturbances. Atmosphere was, in Satyuga, atmosphere was very much favorable. But now, atmosphere is totally different. So many big billboards, so many movies. I mean, how can you control your mind? It's very difficult. So, that's why, if we want to control the mind and senses, the simplest process is Bhakti Yoga. Because in Bhakti Yoga, what you have to do, like we were talking about, we cannot control the desires. We cannot stop desires. We can never become desireless. Desire will always be there. Only we need to purify our desire. We need to give a different direction, a positive direction towards Krishna. We have two options. Either you desire for material sense gratification, or you desire for Krishna's service, Krishna's pleasure. So when we direct our desire for sense gratification, material sense gratification, then we will have to be ready for sufferings, miseries. Very simple formula. If we direct our desire for material sense enjoyment, that will become cause of suffering. And if we direct our desire to satisfy Krishna's senses or for Krishna's pleasure, then that will become a cause of liberation. And again, here one point I'll say, when we say Krishna's pleasure, by default, our pleasure is by default there. True pleasure, true bliss, true happiness is by default there when we please Krishna. Let's discuss this point. I think it must be very much clear. Ultimately, we want enjoyment, right? We want enjoyment. We want to enjoy. We want bliss. Yes, no. We want that, right? And that is our natural propensity. We are part and parcel of Krishna. And that's why, because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And that's why this nature is, this is our nature also. But how to get that bliss, that is what we have to learn. So most of the people, they are trying to enjoy separate from Krishna. They want to be away from Krishna. And they want to enjoy as a master. But Krishna conscious process is, we have to give enjoyment to Krishna, and then our enjoyment will be there by default. Can anybody explain how it is? When you please Krishna, how you are going to get pleased? Any simple example to understand?
He will take care of it.
Huh?
He will take care of it
First, let's find out how do you enjoy? What are the sources of enjoyment? Just find out.
Food.
Food. You love to, you love food, right?
Music.
Huh? Music.
See music.
Travel. Some mental. Some kind of, when you start thinking, some kind of writing, or so many sources of enjoyment. Some intellectual work, some mental work. Like reading scriptures, understanding philosophy. This is what the enjoyment of intelligence. At intelligence level, you enjoy doing lots of brain exercise, mental exercise, right? So the same thing you are doing in Krishna consciousness. If you want to eat food, variety of food, it is available in Krishna consciousness. The only difference is, what is the difference? In material sense, you are enjoying the food separately from Krishna. You are not offering it to Krishna, just enjoying the food for yourself, right? And in that case, you see, just to enjoy food, people are not discriminating what is right and what is wrong. Just to satisfy the taste of tongue, they are eating anything and everything. But when you are in Krishna conscious process, so you will offer only whatever Krishna likes. And Krishna likes very pure food stuff, right? Sattvic. So when you offer it to Krishna and you eat that food, so you're at the same time you are satisfying Krishna by offering food, and you are also getting the taste of your tongue satisfied, your belly satisfied, and not only taste of tongue and belly, but you are advancing in your consciousness. Your consciousness is purified. Simple example to understand, right? So similarly, everything is available in Krishna consciousness. Krishna is Ras Raj. Ras means what? Mellow, bliss. And he is the king of all the rasas. So when you are associated with Krishna, by default, all kinds of mellows, all kinds of rasa, bliss will be there in life. Dancing, singing, feasting, so many games, playing with Krishna, everything is there. You cannot say Krishna means everything. So everything is there. You want to engage your eyes in beautiful darshan of Krishna, like whatever, going to different spiritual places, and seeing beautiful sights or beautiful darshan of Krishna, that will satisfy the desire to see something, and at the same time it will purify the consciousness. There is another story. Ramanujacharya, once he was in that place, Tiruvananthapuram. So there was a procession. Procession means Lord was there in a cart, and all the people, and beautiful procession, and everybody was just observing that procession. They were very happy, chanting, dancing, seeing the Lord. And one person, he was simply gazing upon a lady. She was a prostitute, and she was very beautiful. And the person, instead of seeing God, he was just absorbed in seeing the beautiful eyes of that lady. And Ramanujacharya could see that everybody is so happy, they are just seeing Lord's beauty, and this person, so materialistic person, is he is just seeing that lady. So he sent one of his servants, just asked him that I want to talk to him. So that servant went to the place and then invited him. He came to Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya told him that, why are you doing this? You are continuously just gazing that lady. And then he started praising the beauty of that lady. He said, her eye is so beautiful. I cannot see anything apart from that beauty. So beautiful she is. Then Ramanujacharya said, okay, if I show you something more beautiful than her eyes, so will you accept? Yes. He said, yes, I will do that. So It was Sri Rangam, not Sri Rangam. Sri Ranganaji is the beautiful deity of the Lord. So he said, okay, come next day to this place. I will show you something more beautiful than this. So he said, okay, I will come. So next morning he reached to Sri Rangam, and Sri Ramanujacharya, he was praying to the Lord that, my Lord, somehow I have brought him here, and please you show him your beauty so that he will be attracted towards you. And when darshan was opened and he could see Sri Ranganaji, the beautiful deity form of Lord Krishna, and he was so much, he was so much, this is because of the mercy of Ramanujacharya. And the moment he saw the beautiful darshan of Sri Ranganaji, he forgot everything. And that day he devoted his whole life, and he became such a great disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya. And along with, even later on, he married the same lady, and she also became a great devotee of the Lord. So, anyway, this is a story. I'm just telling that if we have attraction towards Krishna, then rest of the attractions we have in this material world will not be there. And the next sloka is talking about the same thing. What he's saying? Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya devina rasvarjam rasopasya param drashtva nivartate. What is the solution? How can we control the mind and senses? Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Now this is the solution. How can we control the mind and senses? Prabhupada is giving a simple example that the process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain type of eatables. If somebody is diseased, for example, somebody is sugar patient, if you stop him not to take sweet, so this kind of rules and regulations is like that. The moment the person will get opportunity to take sweets, or the person maybe due to restriction, due to doctor's instruction, he is not taking sweet, but the desire to take that sweet is already there. So this is not complete detachment. Somebody is just willing for that, desiring for that. So the complete detachment is not there. Externally, he may be forced. He may force himself. He may restrict himself. But we know if somebody is having this kind of disease can experience, it's very difficult to stop, no, sometimes. Let me take a small bite like that. So, the patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of Yama, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, etc. is recommended for less intelligent person who have no better knowledge. So see, restriction is not bad. Initial stages, some restriction is required. But the point is, only restriction is not going to help. Only restriction is not going to help. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. So this is the solution. What is saying? Once you have higher taste, then the lower taste will go away. Once you have mango shake, then you will not take bitter gourd juice. If both of the options are there, so you will definitely choose mango shake. So therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophyte in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So this is what we have to do to control the mind and senses. We have to develop our taste, our attraction towards Krishna. That is the only solution. Rest, whatever we do, maybe for some time we will be able to control, we will restrict, but again our desires, because that intense desire is there to enjoy the senses, so it will anytime bounce back. It's just a matter of time, place and circumstances. Because intense desire is there. So if we truly want to purify our consciousness, our desire, so we have to develop this Krishna consciousness. Means satisfying the senses of Krishna. Krishna consciousness. Instead of satisfying our own senses, we have to do all those activities which is satisfying the senses of Krishna. So I give you example. Offering food to Krishna, decorating Krishna, like beautiful dress, like we want to wear beautiful dress. If you have desire to beautify Krishna, you just decorate Krishna, then you will see your sense enjoyment, especially for this wearing. I mean, it doesn't mean that you will not dress up yourself or you will not beautify yourself. It's not. This is not the meaning of that. The point is, we will develop more attraction towards Krishna. Then automatically these small things or personal sense enjoyment will be reduced. We will have attraction towards Krishna. And why this is required, in next 3 shlokas we will discuss in next session, we will see the consequences of not controlling the mind and senses. Consequences, very, very important shlokas. Why we are talking about, why to control mind and senses, why to engage in Krishna's service. If we do not do it, what will be the consequences of unrestricted mind and senses? We will learn in next session, right? So, the formula now we are saying that Krishna consciousness, engagement in Krishna's service. Now this part we will discuss. This is a practical session now. How can you engage yourself in Krishna's service? Or how can you engage your senses in Krishna's service? One example I have given you, like food service, like offering food to the Krishna. What else you can do? Let us discuss this. How can you engage yourself in Krishna's service? Singing. Yes. You can sing for Krishna, chant for Krishna, right? Chanting the holy name of Krishna. What else?
I just have decorating, making
Yes.
clothes for him.
Yes, making clothes for him. What else?
Attending classes.
Attending Bhagavad Gita class, because this is pleasing to Krishna. Wherever we are chanting, once Narad Muni asked, where do you reside? So Krishna said, I do not reside in my Goloka, in Vaikuntha. I reside wherever my devotees are chanting and hearing about myself. I am always present there. So wherever Krishna Katha is going on, Krishna is there. Right? Yes. So hearing Krishna Katha. What else?
Thinking about it.
Yes? Thinking about himself.
But what do you think about him?
What?
I mean, what can you think about him? What all can you think about him?
You can think about his pastimes. You can think about his message, his beauty, his qualities. Seeing anything and everything in this material, whenever you see something, you see in relation to Krishna. We have to practice this, right? Seeing everything in relation to Krishna. How can you see in everything, Krishna in everything, in everyone? How can you see that? For example, once somebody asked, how can I remember Krishna every time? From Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, there was a eyeglass spec. So Prabhupada said, when you see this eyeglass, Prabhupada's eyeglass, what do you remember? What comes in your mind? Then the disciple said, when I see this eyeglass or that is spectacle, I remember you because this is your eyeglass. So Prabhupada said, yes, similarly, because everything belongs to Krishna. So when you see anything and everything, you will automatically remember Krishna. So this way we can practice seeing everything in relation to Krishna. For example, this is my spectacle, right? Or with somebody who is very close or something. If you know that this is mine, so the moment you see this glass, so to whom you will remember? Or anything if you see, right? You see this candles, for example, it belongs to me and it is lying down over here. The moment you see this, will you remember me? Will the thought come in your mind that, oh, this belongs to me? So similarly, we know that everything belongs to Krishna. So whatever we see, we should think we should that okay, this is Krishna. If somebody is singing beautifully, somebody is singing, then we can think of that. Oh, see, Krishna is manifesting through song, so beautiful. Or when we see some tree, beautiful flower plants or flowers, we can see that. Oh, see, so nice creation of Krishna. So beautiful flowers. Krishna has given so beautiful flowers. Like this, we can start thinking like that, right? And so many things like that. When we see sun, when we see moon, so in, later in chapters Bhagavad Gita we will read about it. This is all Krishna's energy, Krishna's different energy which is working in this material world. So seeing those things, we can remember Krishna. And this is what we have to practice. Now we are going to discuss another 15-20 minutes. The best thing, these are all practical application I am talking about, right? So with one more example, like about this home. Whatever activities you are doing in this house, if you know that Krishna is the master of this house, right? And Krishna, everything I'm doing in here is just for the pleasure of Krishna. Just for the pleasure of Krishna. Then you can just imagine what all different activities are there which you do in your day-to-day life. What do you do? Cleaning the house, right? What else you do? Cooking, going outside for some maybe vegetable purchase or grocery purchase, doing some kind of shopping. What else? Doing your job, doing your business. So whatever activities we are doing, just keep in mind that I am doing it for Krishna. Because cooking is being done for Krishna. First offering is for Krishna. So if we keep this in mind that cooking is for Krishna, so I will just start thinking, okay, if I am cooking for Krishna, let me know what Krishna likes most. Today I will cook this. Krishna likes this. Whatever vegetables, different vegetables, seasonal vegetables, okay, Krishna will be very happy if I cook this today and offer him. So only a change of consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not change of activity. Same activity, simply we have to change consciousness. And what is the purpose of changing this consciousness? Why we are doing such things?
We'll stop doing all wrong things. I will not get
Number one,
angry
that
at
is
all.
one benefit. That is one benefit.
Yeah,
We will
yeah.
stop all wrong things.
I will
Only
get
one
angry
question
at
if we
all.
ask that, how should I please Krishna? This one question will make you Krishna conscious. Whatever you do, whatever you think, before that, simply practice one thing. Is it going to please Krishna? How can I please Krishna? This question will make us Krishna conscious. Then we will do only those things which is really pleasing to Krishna. And of course, we need to know why we are doing these classes, because we can, with the help, with this we can know what Krishna likes and dislikes. Huh? So when we know it, and when we ask this question to the self, how can I please Krishna? Then Krishna, because we are hearing about, so that intelligence, Krishna will provide that intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna says, if you desire to please Krishna, Krishna will give you intelligence what to do, what not to do. He will give intelligence. And when we follow the path of Krishna, one thing is for sure, that path will help us to liberate, free us from material bondage, right? And purify our existence, internally, externally, both. And in that state, we will always be blissful, happy in all situations. We will be always fixed in our consciousness. Nothing will disturb. But initial stages, we have to practice. And one most important practice that we are going to discuss, apart from these, chanting the holy name, right? Every day, chanting is the topmost activity. Just to practice all these different activities, one activity, because service begins with tongue. The first service in Krishna consciousness, it begins with tongue. Tongue. Two activities. One is, what are the two activities of tongue? Chanting and, no, I am talking about only tongue. Forget about all other senses. Yes, forget about all other senses. Just engage one sense in Krishna's service. and you will see tremendous transformation in life. Just one sense, and that is tongue. So 2 activities. Tongue, one is taste and one is speaking, chanting, right? So these 2 activities will help us, because this is the strongest sense and which will help to control all other senses. So taste means we can take food which is offered to Krishna, that is Krishna Prasad. Srila Prabhupada said that only we make a vow, we take a vow that we will take only Krishna Prasad. Anything and everything, whatever is, anything means whatever we are offering to Krishna, we will take it. We will take only Krishna Prasad. This one austerity will help us to control our mind and senses, and chanting the holy name of the Lord. How many of you have already started chanting every day? Every day. And though I don't know, I'm really very sorry for this, because again and again I'm getting failed into it, but it was planned that today we are going to discuss more on chanting. More on chanting. Because controlling the mind and senses, for the last few weeks or few sessions we have been discussing on it. But let me tell you, because once you understand why we are talking this subject, why Krishna is speaking about, next session when you understand how uncontrolled mind and senses degrade us to the hellish condition of life, then you will become serious. Then you will understand why we have to become serious about controlling mind and senses. So the controlling mind or engaging mind in Krishna consciousness or Krishna's service is very, very important activity, and that activity starts with chanting. You like it, you don't like it, just start doing chanting. Right? So now, one round chanting we can do. Anybody, any question about chanting? Anything, if you know that you don't know how to chant, or any further details? Any? You all know about the process? Yes.
I have just got to know that we can chant as soon as we get up in the morning without taking bath and anything.
Yes. Yes.
And so we can do it right as well. And
Yes.
we don't have to be puja ready all the time. Right?
Just few things quickly I'll tell you. Like yes, Rameshwar is talking about. My humble request to all of you, first start chanting, because so much we have been hearing, and the result of hearing, understanding the message of Krishna is accepting this process. Now, chanting is the most important activity. If we are not chanting, means then we are not applying this message in our life. This is the first thing we have to start. And even if you don't know any philosophical things, any concept, again, just start chanting. This is the most sublime method, simple method anybody and everybody can do, and there is no rules and regulations for it. Anytime, any place, anywhere, you can do it. Right? We should practice on beats. This will help. But if you don't have beats, don't stop chanting. There are counters also while driving, or maybe in your office, maybe you will not have that kind of atmosphere where you can use beats. But the most important thing is practice chanting. Yes. But early morning, as you said, early morning chanting, Brahma Muhurta time is starting from 4:30 onwards till 6:30. That time is very auspicious for spiritual practices. So this is rule number 1, that there is no rule. You can chant anytime, anywhere, right? Any place. And one simple formula, that you have to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Simple, you have to pronounce it and you have to hear it. That is simple formula, no other techniques. All other techniques we will discuss is just to support this one activity, chanting and hearing the transcendental sound vibration. Make it sure we don't have to do it in mind, within mind. This is chanting, vibrating the transcendental sound, and that transcendental sound, it should be as much loud, at least we can hear. Means the person who is chanting should hear this transcendental sound vibration. Just do this. There are other steps like mind will go here and there. Don't at all worry about your mind. One process is bring it back to hearing, to chanting. Wherever mind is going, just bring it back to this chanting and hearing process. This will happen, but don't at all bother about, don't at all try to control your mind. Do not try to control, because mind is very, very powerful. We'll discuss about it. So chant and hear, and determination will help you. With determination, sankalpa. When you start chanting, just take some vow. Okay, for the pleasure of Krishna, I'm going to chant 1 round, 2 rounds today. Right? So this sankalpa will help you. And when you chant with determination, sankalpa, again, one thing, if you want to chant good, mind is, because if you give mind too much task, mind will deviate you, or mind will get disturbed. Better give a small task to the mind. So instead of thinking about, oh my God, so many rounds, so much is there still, don't think like that. Just give one task at a time. Just say in your mind that, okay, just one mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Even in this 16 syllables, initially just try to focus on one syllable, that mantra. Hare, this much only. Try to hear that. So being present, don't think about past, don't think about future. Means, and again, when you focus on something, automatically you will start thinking about that only. So don't get into this much. But point is, just being present, chant here with sankalpa that I'm going to chant 1 round for the pleasure of Krishna. So let's do it using these techniques first. Yes. And before that, on first beat, we chant Panchatattva Mahamantra. You can repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. And here we will start Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and we will complete this 108 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is slow practice. Gradually you can increase your speed. Like Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Automatically you will increase this speed. So every syllable, just keep on hearing this. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadadai. Praladadadadai. Yanyakashipura. Sinakashipura. Parato Nasima Yato Yato Yamitato Nasima Hir Nasima Hidai Nasima Nasima Mahi Sharala Prapati Avatara Kamala Bari Natha Madhuta Shiva Hiranyakashipu Anubiram Keshavadita Narahariruha Jagadisha Hari Jai Jagadisha Hari Jai Jagadisha Hari Jaya Narasimhadev Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Jaya Gauravita Jai 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 Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Jai, Prabhupada Jai Jai, Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jai Jai, Gurudev. Krishna Bhagwan ki Jai, Bhagwan Maharaj ki Jai, Prabhupada. Somebody asked Sri Prabhupada, where from you get energy, where from you get spiritual power. So he was showing his chanting bead. This is how he did miracle at the age of 75, traveling all over the world 14 times, within 12 years, 14 times, traveling all over the world, writing hundreds of books, thousands of lectures, so many Gurukul, farm communities, Rath Yatra, all these Prabhupada was doing within those 10 years, 12 years. Until the last breath, he was very active. Even 4 days before he was leaving the body, he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. And the physical condition was so much painful. I mean, only skin and bones. The doctor, they said, in this situation, no one can maintain consciousness. It's a very painful situation. But in that condition, Srila Prabhupada was dictating on Srimad Bhagavatam. And all this he could do because he was fixed in Krishna consciousness. So many hurdles, so many problems in this journey, but he was never disturbed. He was always focused. And because of his mercy, we have such a worldwide big movement, so much of knowledge, right? So many devotees. So it is all because of Srila Prabhupada's dedication, devotion. And we have received the same process by his mercy. So we also have to get this power by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Chant it every day. You understand, you don't understand, just a reciprocation of love to Krishna. Just chant. And this will bring miracle in life. Hare Krishna. Thanks.
Yesterday the